Ah, to be reborn again and again. Now we happen to have Melina on our side. But in order to continue our journey, we will need to collect more and more runes to gain power. And of course, beyond the obvious, looking for ways to level up and to increase our prowess. There are challenges which we must face in order to prove ourselves and to see those runes acquired. That happens to be one of those challenges. Before engaging with that knight, despite the fact we already saw some knights can be made complete pushovers by the madness that has encroached upon them, we shall see about lightening our load. And we'll return to Grace to change things up just a little bit. For I have a premonition that, well, the magical sort of combat will be the best possible in this particular circumstance. It shall certainly make this a, well, both difficult and very, very engaging fight. Oh dear. It would seem I got my distance wrong. That is a no-go. It is most fortunate indeed, then, that I know Grace can replenish my focus points. And I won't have to waste it on... well, I won't have to waste those cerulean tears on a mistake that I made so early into the attempt of combat. That was terribly embarrassing. Oh well. It would seem that some knights actually have, well, the stuff still. And I will have to be quite careful in how I engage this. Make sure I get proper distancing and whatnot. Retaliation sent my way. What a nasty little trick. You want to make this difficult, don't you? Oh! This might take a little while. My diminutive health compared to his creates quite the disadvantage. I think I'm getting the hang of it, though. Darn it! Right. so far away. Oh. I didn't even get a chance to use the sword. He got me good that time. But I'm getting closer. Closer, I can taste it. Same mistake as last time. That does not bode well. All right. These crucified are starting to remind me a little too much of myself. Yes! Fine. The golden halberd. Weighty halberd forged of gold. Wielded by the order of the Erdtree Sentinels. Heavily equipped knights. Heavily indeed. It deals holy damage. Masterfully crafted weapon that lives up to its heft, but is difficult for one with mere human strength to wield. It contains a skill passed down from antiquity amongst the knights of the capital. Raise the armament aloft and pledge to honor the Erdtree in battle, granting self and nearby allies increased attack power and defense. Significantly different than golden tempering, which grants their attacks holy essence, while in effect, strong attacks will perform dual-wielding combos, but this does not change the attack pattern of the golden halberd. Curious, curious business. And this was no mere commoner who was strung up there. grace that dwells within the inhabitants of the lands between, the lingering trace of gold. Runes are nourishment for the development of any tarnished, provided, of course, a finger maiden can be found. Then let us be nourished. What? A goat wandering before this? How curious indeed. Well, rather than treating them as lamb to the slaughter, I think I shall simply engage with this man, who I put off any interaction with before. You there!
You're a tarnished. I can see it. And I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods.
Kale. Your name means man. And especially is associated with strength and freedom. Though other roots might suggest it means slender, fair, or devotion. That is a very interesting name for a merchant. Regardless, it would seem this man can immediately tell that we are tarnished, which begins to establish a pattern. What gives us away? Does it have anything to do with the second part? That we're not at his throat? Or is it an expression of it often being the case that the tarnished would be, but he's glad we are an exception? Regardless, let us see what fine goods he purveys. First, though, his recommendations.
You know, if you can spare the runes, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. A crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really, if you intend to survive out here for any duration. The kit costs a bundle, and I admit I do take my cut. But the important thing is that you survive. Every customer counts, after all.
Survival, survival. This man is deeply concerned with it, it would seem. Perhaps this is merely the nature of a nomad. Well, he says he takes his cut, which suggests he's part of some sort of organized supply chain, which is most intriguing. This must mean nomads must be making the best of the state in which they find the world.
I am of a nomadic people, selling wares as I travel.
Oh, he hadn't said
The
that
land
yet.
has been tainted by madness since the shattering of the Elden Ring. It's only tarnished like yourself, who keep things from drying up entirely. Let's say you're a very welcome customer.
I see, I see. Though I seem to have known it already, let us together note that Kale is not just a merchant, but a nomadic merchant. Secondly, it would seem that the shattering damaged more than just the political stability of the realm. Or some simple lump of runes. No, there must have been a more fundamental shift in the nature of the realm. Perhaps this is why even I am so foggy and unstable in memory and mind. But, here's an answer. It's actually we new arrivals who are the main customers of such a merchant. Maybe being dead when the ring was shattered somewhat shielded us from the break's effects, whereas the soldiers we've been fighting were not so lucky. But how does Kale seem to have his head on his shoulders and still straight? Are he and his people just the survivors who somehow proved resistant to the madness? Or were they pre-existing as an ethnos who collectively were unaffected by some happenstance of breeding or experience? Let's see what all these are that he has. Throwing daggers. Short daggers meant for throwing, with no handguard. The blade is polished. Its weight is expertly balanced, presumably, to allow for that throwing to be easier and more reliable. Deals damage on impact, as you would want from a throwing dagger. It is an auxiliary weapon, used primarily to constrain an enemy's movements, but can still be deadly in the right hands. I will keep that in mind. But first, this is something far more important. Astrology used by members of the Carian royal family, or rather, a tool therefore. Stolen from a larger instrument, which means Kale is a fence or a thief. But I don't mind. Even if the Carians bring nostalgia, well, this is simply too useful to allow to go to waste. For it allows the viewer to better see faraway things, and that is something which will be both pragmatically useful for telling enemies at the distance that they might possibly be a danger in the near future, and it will allow us to view the world and understand it with much greater clarity. During the age of the Erdtree, Carian astrology withered on the vine. The fate once written in the night skies had been fettered by the golden order. I wonder if it might not be a good thing to break that order further. Perhaps Melina was on to something. Though the way she said it, it seems almost as if it was some major sacrifice that would have to be made. Regardless, we can most appreciably see the sun at the forefront of this astrological tool, and behind it an array of stars nearer to our eyes. Brought nearer by the lens, I should think. Furrow-calling finger remedy. I believe we already found this mysterious item that alludes to play. What line it speaks of, I do not know, but multiplayer is a very strange piece of terminology indeed. This I think I like. Empty pots which somehow mend themselves when broken. Essential vessels for crafting cracked pot items. Reminds me of the helmet upon my head. Cracked just a little, but never seeming to want to go away. The material and magic sealed within deploy their effects when the pot is thrown. Much like I've been thrown into this world to deploy magics and materials with which I wield my strength. I'll get all of them. And I agree. Leather bag containing pestle and mortar, a small blade, and various other tools. The crafting of items from whatever this main menu happens to be. A focused state of mind, perhaps, is very essential and, well, provides both the means to fight and survive. Kale was right. Though I can return to life quite easily, I shouldn't take this for granted. Fighting and surviving are both important in the grand scheme of things, especially if we lose something upon our demise and revival. which we should hold far too precious to be left in the dust. Curious that he finds that was worth so much, and might be something we weren't willing to purchase, despite the fact it was only 300. We shan't worry too much about it. Missionary's Cookbook. Made of pure white paper, almost feathered at the edges, invoking some sort of creature of the celestial realm, perhaps. Frayed thread is used to bind it, almost as if it reflects the weathered state of the world that we're in, barely holding things together. A record of crafting techniques left by a man who, unable to become a finger maiden, instead became a missionary and went forth to spread holy teachings. Acquire the knowledge to craft the following: holy water pot and roped holy water pot. We shall see if we find these quite useful in the future. Holy water has an air of intrigue to it, after all. Nomadic Warrior's Cookbook. A record of crafting techniques left by roaming nomad warriors. Contains knowledge for surviving in the face of utter scarcity. Now that rings a bell. The bloodstains at the edge also recall the feeling of looking upon Kale with his red overcoat. I think these nomadic merchants have more to them than they might let on. I think they are also nomadic warriors. It contains instructions for glowstone and invigorating cured meat, as well as invigorating white cured meat. What is the difference between this, the white and the non-white? Oh! I sure know that normal strands of meat have red caked upon them, and perhaps imbued in their flesh. I think this might mean somehow the whitened stuff is purged of all that red, drained of color perhaps, along with their blood. We shall take it, but find out what other things Kale wishes us to know. A record of crafting techniques left by roaming nomadic warriors contain knowledge for survival in the face of utter scarcity. Acquire the knowledge to craft the following: bone arrow fletched, and bone bolt. Right now, I don't have anything to wield those with, but they seem very useful. So I shall take it. And I shall take this. A torch's tip is wrapped in oil-soaked rags and then set on fire. Flame can illuminate dark locales or be used to attack enemies. Can be raised up when equipped in the left hand, illuminating more of the surrounding area. Torch attack. Thrust the torch forward to set foes ablaze. This skill is especially effective against foes who are weak to fire, as one would expect. Just like the telescope, this also allows us to have better insight into the world around us, and so we must be very grateful to Kale, who has given us tools to understand, and understanding gives us knowledge. Knowledge is power, and so he better equips us to face this most difficult world, to survive in the face of utter scarcity.
I'm glad you took my warning to heart. You've made an excellent choice.
Thank you. If you have a crafting kit, you can make various items and materials that you find. Select item crafting from the main menu to make items. You can learn to craft more items by finding cookbooks. You will need more crackpots and other containers to craft certain items. You will not be able to make more of these items than you have of containers, quite obviously. Container items will run out with use, but the containers themselves will remain, because of that curious magic that allows them to be mended and returned to the hand. This world has much for us to learn. Much for us to know. And so, apparently, does Melina. Let us see what she has to say.
This tiny golden aura is the grace of the Erdtree.
Yes,
This
I know.
light once shone in the eyes of your tarnished brethren, but now it is all that guides you. Or so I hear. You can see them, can't you? The rays of grace that guide you through your burden.
Yes, I suppose so. Though she speaks much of what we already know, perhaps that's what the tarnished status is able to be perceived by. That lack of light in the eyes. People can tell. People can see that we no longer have this. Thank you, Melina. Have anything else you wish to say?
Upon the cliff, in Castle Stormvale, is a shard-bearer, a demigod, who inherited a fragment of the shattered Elden Ring. If the rays of grace signal the castle, then the Elden Ring beckons you. As an ally by pact, I pray that you are fit to face the challenge presented by the ring.
Well, I shall say we should be once we are ready. Once we are going up there, we will be of the power necessary, and you will help us, dear Melina. So I thank you and bid you farewell. Oh yes. I still have yet to thank Kale properly. Let's see if we have a chance then.
Wait, weren't you... Well, you're back. Care to buy something?
I wish to talk. For now, I don't quite have more money. But talking isn't too bad, is it?
There are others of my people who yet survive in these lands. If the mood takes you and you meet one, then offer them some trade, won't you? My people, wanderers all have long been spurned by the grace of gold, which is why we cannot settle, but instead are forced into this pitiful, unceasing journey. But thanks to that, things are not so different for us now, though the Elden Ring is shattered. I think this makes us kindred spirits of sorts. Your people, the Tarnished, and mine.
His people are all wanderers, so we should only take the nomadic merchants as part of Kale's tribe, so to speak. That they were all spurned by the grace of gold is quite interesting indeed, as this creates a point of connection, as he says, both between us as individuals and between the two groups, who are unaffected by the pervasive madness which has afflicted the people at large. Most intriguing, no? It's almost as if the shattering has caused grace to become a curse. But sure, Kale. I shall make myself a patron of all those of your friends and family whom I encounter.
Perhaps you don't need to hear this, but see that no harm comes to my kin. We have a saying, we wanderers, lament not your solitude. Expect no sympathy, no regard, nothing. But if anyone dares harm us, show them no mercy. That is our code, so to speak. Just the way we are, deeply unforgiving.
I take no umbrage at that spite-embracing tack. When the world has become as dangerous as it would seem now to be, while friends are hard to come by, it also becomes harder not to be as unforgiving as the milieu one inhabits. And yes, I shall show any such scoundrels I meet no quarter. This I will also vow, Kale, my friend. Farewell, until next we meet.
Goodbye, for now.
Perhaps, once I am reborn again, once this world yet more sees my life emerging from the shadows beyond. Once I take it upon myself to hunt, to feast upon the ruins of others, and to find my way further along the journey. This long road to find the Elden Ring.